Have you ever found yourself tangled in legal jargon, wishing for a clear, straightforward explanation? Welcome to Beyond Borders Podcast, your gateway to understanding the fascinating world of law. Imagine navigating the twists and turns of real estate, breaking down barriers in business immigration, creating asset protection in complex structures in corporate law, securing your legacy with estate planning, or overcoming financial hurdles like bankruptcy and foreclosure. Each episode is your personal guide, offering practical insights and real-world applications that bring clarity to your legal concerns. We're here to transform confusion into confidence with trustworthy, concise information. So whether you're commuting, hitting the gym, or relaxing at home, tune in to Beyond Borders Podcast, brought to you by Bauer, Gutierrez, and Barbeau.
Good evening. My name is Hillary Kessler, and I am our firm's probate attorney. Some of you might be wondering what probate is. So just to put it simply, it is the court-administered process of gathering and eventually distributing the assets of somebody who has passed away. And when somebody first comes to me, I am the calm in the middle of the storm that helps find the reason and kind of makes the process as simply and seamless as humanly possible. So I am the person that you come to after somebody has passed away. If they had an estate plan, then I can help you walk through as to how to administer that estate plan. For example, if somebody had a will, that still has to be submitted to the court so that the court can basically confirm the beneficiaries and eventually distribute out those assets. I also help if somebody did not have an estate plan, which is usually, honestly, the majority of the probates that we see in the state of Florida is most people do not have an estate plan, and that's why we have to go through that probate process. That process is called passing away intestate, and that means that it's my job to help any family that comes to me find that person's assets and eventually transfer it out. So if they had bank accounts, for example, that did not have beneficiary designations, that's going to go through probate. If they had a property that was only in the deceased person's name, that's going to have to go through probate as well. And any sort of retirement accounts that did not have any sort of beneficiary designations is also something that is going to have to be subject to probate. So I am the person that's going to help kind of walk you through that process and eventually publish notice to creditors so that we can address those issues as well. It's not always just distributing the assets. We do have to address the liabilities of a decedent as well. And that's where I step in to kind of get more creative with publishing the appropriate notices and making sure that we can preserve as much of a decedent's assets as we can. So the type of probate that we will be doing depends on the assets of the decedent. So the more abbreviated form of probate is what's called a summary administration. And this is an option available for anybody where somebody has been passed away for 2 years or more, or if the assets of the estate are $75,000 or less. And that does include homestead property. So it's always good to consult with an attorney first to see if probate's necessary and see if you can do the abbreviated form so you can get the process done faster than the other more what's called formal probate. Formal probate administration is a longer process. You come in and you file the initial documents with the court, and you eventually get what's called letters of administration and an order appointing a personal representative. The personal representative effectively acts as the manager of the estate. They are the person that has the authority to speak with the banks, sign off on any deeds for any properties that need to be sold, and effectively they're the party that stands in to act as a liaison for the estate and also as a fiduciary for the beneficiaries to make sure that they're being taken care of as well. So I would be the person that comes in, and once we have those orders, I would help you start marshaling those assets. And eventually I handle a lot of real estate in probate as well. We have to go through and assess the decedent's property, get it listed for sale, and eventually get that transferred over to the probate court so that we can get an order authorizing distributions to the beneficiaries. One of the most important parts of probate is to give your attorney as much information as possible. There is not a database of accounts that somebody had. There is no database of life insurance policies that somebody had. It effectively falls on the decedent's family to find all of this information and communicate that to the attorneys, go through their mail, their Gmails, their emails, anything that you could possibly find. That is going to be how you find the assets that belong to a decedent. And there is also unclaimed property, but at that point in time, it's usually too late and a probate's already been closed. So that's one of the most important things that you can have is when you're gathering the information to start the probate is see what you can find first. And then once you have a personal representative appointed, then you have authority to start speaking to these financial institutions and anybody else that you might need to get further information for your clients. One of the biggest myths that I come across in probate is somebody that has been living with somebody, maybe had kids with somebody that was never formally married, thinking that they are going to have any rights to this person's estate. And in the state of Florida, we do not have common law marriage. If you are not formally married, you are not entitled to anything. Now, if you have kids with that person, then likely your kids are going to be the sole heir to that person's estate, depending on the circumstances. So it's always important to plan for these types of things. I know a lot of people don't like to, but you have to have some sort of plan in place if you're not planning on getting married to somebody. If you want them to be taken care of when you pass away, I'm the person that they're going to be talking to, telling them that they're not going to be entitled to anything, despite spending the last 10, 15, 20 years of their life with you. So I am the person that can help prevent that from happening, but I hope I'm also the person that has to break the bad news on occasion as well. For example, I have a case right now where somebody was engaged, the gentleman passed away, and there was a will, but the will was not executed properly. So because they were not married, she is not entitled to anything from his estate. I have other cases where there are kids that are not born yet, paternity has to be done, or somebody's parent thinks that they're going to be able to collect somebody's estate. But in reality, the unborn child is the sole heir to that estate. And that's where I step in and I have to explain to these families that this is why planning is so important, because I deal with the cards that are dealt when they're on the table and not prior to them being dealt. So unfortunately, I'm the person that has to break the bad news, but I'm also the person that helps you navigate through those loopholes and thresholds that we can get to a point where maybe there's something that we can get for you. Maybe there's some sort of settlement that we can come to, especially if there's children involved. Another myth that I come across in probate is somebody thinking that just because they have a will in place, they think that they're going to avoid having to go through the probate process. And that just simply is not true. A will still has to go through probate, has to go through the court. The judge has to oversee the process to confirm who the beneficiaries are and confirm who the assets go to. The only way to fully avoid the probate process is to have trust in place or some combination of trusts, have beneficiary designations on your financial accounts or retirement accounts, life insurances, and for anything real property related, you could have something in place such as an enhanced life estate deed where it effectively acts as a beneficiary designation for real property. And so for any of you having somebody that's passed away recently, or if you have questions, maybe for a friend, a neighbor, a colleague at work, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you.